My innocent best friend stole everything from me, so I took it all back. My former best friend Amber and I were inseparable since college. I was the quiet, organized one, and she was the charismatic, spontaneous one, which really meant she was irresponsible and I was always cleaning up her messes. It started small. She'd forget her wallet whenever we went out, so I'd cover her. She'd borrow my clothes and return them stained or not at all. I was a pushover. And she knew it. I told myself that's what friends do. The real problems began when I started dating Mark. Amber immediately became possessive. She'd make snide comments about how he wasn't good enough for me, or she'd conveniently have a crisis every time we had plans. I felt guilty, so I'd cancel on him to console her. She was isolating me, and I was too naive to see it. Then I landed my dream job at a prestigious marketing firm. I was ecstatic. Amber, who had been fired from 2 jobs for office drama, seemed happy for me. A week later, she begged me to get her an interview. My boss, seeing my hard work, agreed. I helped Amber prep, gave her all my notes, and even rehearsed answers with her. She got the job, and that's when the real betrayal began. At work, she'd take credit for my ideas in meetings. She'd miss crucial emails, making me look unprepared. She'd cozy up to our boss, painting herself as the star and me as the unreliable one. I was working myself to the bone, and she was reaping the rewards. When I confronted her, she cried and said I was being paranoid and competitive. She made me feel like the bad friend. The final straw came when I found out she and Mark had been secretly seeing each other for a month. I walked in on them at my apartment, the apartment whose rent I always paid on time, unlike Amber when we lived together. They tried to stammer out an excuse, but the truth was undeniable. I didn't scream. I didn't cry, I just looked at them and said, "Get out." But I wasn't finished. Revenge is a dish best served with proof. The breaking point was the Apex Corp pitch. This was a career-making campaign. I knew it was my last chance. I spent weeks crafting a bold, data-driven, innovative strategy. It was brilliant but risky. It challenged the client's core assumptions. Amber, as usual, demanded I send her my notes to look over. This time I had a plan. I created 2 presentations. The first was my real one, polished and perfect. Second was a poisoned apple. It looked identical at a glance, but I had subtly altered the data, swapped key images for ridiculous memes, and inserted slides with blatantly offensive and incorrect market analysis. It was a professional suicide note disguised as a pitch deck. I sent her the fake one. The day of the presentation, our entire executive team and the Apex Corp CEOs were in the room. Just before we began, Amber stood up. "Everyone," she announced, with a sickeningly sweet smile in my direction. "I know my name worked hard on some initial ideas, but I've taken the liberty of completely overhauling the pitch. I think you'll find my version is far more strategic." My boss looked surprised but nodded. I just smiled and said, "By all means, Amber, the floor is yours." For the first 5 minutes, she was smug, parroting the introductory concepts she'd overheard me mention. Then she clicked to the next slide. It was a slide about engaging the youth market. But instead of demographic data, it was a meme of a dancing hamster. A nervous chuckle went through the room. Amber's smile faltered. She frantically clicked again. The next slide claimed the client's primary customer base was urban squirrels. The one after that suggested a partnership with a famously adult-themed website. The Apex Corp CEO's face was a thundercloud. My boss looked like he was having a stroke. "It's not, this isn't right," Amber stammered, clicking wildly as the presentation descended into a circus of absurdity and insulting errors. She turned to me, her eyes wide with panic. "What did you do? You sabotaged me." I stood up calmly, plugged in my own laptop, and pulled up the real, flawless presentation. "I have no idea what happened to your files, Amber," I said, my voice steady. "But here are the initial ideas you mentioned, the ones I've been working on for the past 3 weeks." I then delivered the pitch perfectly. The client was thrilled. The room was electrified. Amber was fired for gross incompetence and attempting to sabotage a major account before she even left the building. As she was escorted out, she screamed that I had set her up. As for Mark, he came crawling back a week later, saying Amber had lied about everything and he'd made a terrible mistake. I listened patiently, then showed him the door, reminding him that my smug self was no longer available to clean up his messes either.